When my daughter-in-law called me mom for the first time, I cried tears of joy. But when she said those exact words again 3 months later, I cried for a completely different reason. What I discovered in that refrigerator changed everything I thought I knew about my son's marriage. This is my story, and I need to tell someone before it's too late. My name is Margaret Chen, and I'm 58 years old. I raised my son Daniel alone after my husband passed away when Daniel was just 7. For 20 years, it was just the two of us against the world. When Daniel brought home Sarah for the first time, I knew she was special. She wasn't like the other girls he'd dated. Sarah was a pediatric nurse with kind eyes and a warm smile. She didn't try too hard to impress me. She just fit. At their wedding, Sarah did something that made me break down. During her vows, she turned to me, sitting in the front row, and said, "Margaret, thank you for raising the man of my dreams. I promise to love him the way you taught him to love." I wasn't just gaining a daughter-in-law, I was gaining a daughter. Sarah started a tradition. Every Sunday, Sarah and Daniel would come to my house for dinner. She insisted on it. "Mom," she'd say, and my heart would flutter every time she called me that. "You've been cooking alone for too long. Let us keep you company." We'd cook together, laugh together, share stories. Sarah would tell me about her patients at the children's hospital. I'd share old photos of Daniel as a baby, and we'd tease him until his ears turned red. Those Sundays became the highlight of my week. It was a Tuesday evening, about 2 months after the wedding. Sarah called me, which wasn't unusual, but her voice sounded off. "Mom, I made too much lasagna tonight. Can I bring some over tomorrow? I don't want it to go to waste." "Of course, sweetheart," I said. "But are you okay? You sound tired." "Just a long shift at the hospital," she replied quickly. "I'll see you tomorrow." When she came by the next day, I noticed she'd lost weight. Her scrubs hung a bit looser than I remembered. "Sarah, are you eating enough?" I asked, concerned. She laughed it off. "Mom, I'm bringing you food, remember? I eat plenty. Daniel makes sure of that." Something in the way she said it made me pause, but I pushed the feeling away. First, it was Daniel's work emergency. Then Sarah had a migraine. Then Daniel had a business trip. Each time, Sarah would call to apologize, her voice filled with genuine regret. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I know how much you look forward to these dinners. I promise we'll make it up to you." On the 4th canceled Sunday in a row, I decided to surprise them. I cooked Daniel's favorite, beef stew, and drove to their apartment. I knocked on their door at 6 p.m. No answer. I knew they were home because both cars were in the parking lot. I could hear the TV inside. I knocked again, louder. Finally, Daniel opened the door. He looked disheveled. His eyes were red. "Mom, what are you doing here?" He didn't sound happy to see me. "I brought dinner," I said, holding up the pot. "I missed you both." This isn't a good time," he said, blocking the doorway. That's when I heard it, Sarah's voice from inside, small and weak. "Daniel, who is it?" "Mom brought food," he called back, his jaw tight. "Oh, Mom!" Sarah appeared behind him, wrapped in a blanket despite the warm evening. Her smile was bright, but her eyes looked hollow. "You shouldn't have. Come in, please." Daniel stepped aside reluctantly. The apartment was immaculate, too immaculate. Every surface gleamed. The pillows on the couch were perfectly arranged. Even the books on the shelf were organized by color. "Sarah, you keep a beautiful home," I said. "She's very particular about cleanliness," Daniel said. There was an edge to his voice. We ate dinner in awkward silence. Sarah barely touched her food, pushing it around her plate. "Sweetheart, you need to eat," I said gently. "I had a big lunch," she said quickly. too quickly. Daniel's fork clattered against his plate. Really? Because you told me you skipped lunch. Sarah's face flushed. I meant I had a snack, a big snack. The tension in the room was suffocating. I left earlier than planned, feeling like I'd intruded on something I didn't understand. At 2 a.m., my phone rang. It was Sarah. "Mom," she said, her voice thick with tears. "I'm sorry to call so late. I needed to hear a friendly voice." "Sarah, what's wrong? Where's Daniel?" "He's asleep. Mom, can I ask you something?" "Anything, sweetheart." "When you were married, did you ever feel like you couldn't do anything right? Like no matter how hard you tried, it was never enough?"
My blood ran cold. "Sarah, is Daniel hurting you?" No, nothing like that. He has very high standards for the house, for meals, for everything. I want to be a good wife, but I'm so tired, Mom. I'm so tired." She was crying openly now. "Sarah, listen to me. I'm coming over right now." "No, please no. If he wakes up and you're here, he'll think I complained about him. I just needed to talk. I'll be fine, I promise." "Sarah, I have to go. I love you, Mom. Thank you for listening." She hung up. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. 2 weeks later, Sarah collapsed at work. Daniel called me from the emergency room. "She fainted during her shift," he said. His voice was calm, too calm. "They're running tests." When I arrived, Sarah was hooked up to an IV. She looked so small in that hospital bed. The doctor pulled me and Daniel aside. "Mrs. Chen is severely malnourished and dehydrated. Her blood pressure is dangerously low. I need to ask," he looked at Daniel carefully, "is there a reason she's not eating?" "She's very health conscious," Daniel said smoothly. "Sometimes she goes overboard with dieting." "That's not what I'm seeing here," the doctor said firmly. "This is starvation-level malnutrition." Sarah's colleague, a nurse named Maria, approached me while Daniel was on the phone. "Mrs. Chen, can I talk to you privately?" Maria pulled me into an empty waiting room. "I don't know if I should be saying this, but Sarah is my friend. She's been bringing her lunch to work every day, beautiful, elaborate meals, but she never eats them." "What? Why not?" "She says Daniel checks the containers when she gets home. If there are leftovers, he gets angry, says she wasted food, wasted money, so she throws away her lunch and tells him she ate it." I felt like I'd been punched. "That can't be true. Daniel wouldn't—" "There's more," Maria interrupted. "She's been taking extra shifts, not because she wants to, but because Daniel gives her a daily allowance. If she wants anything extra, coffee, a magazine, anything, she has to earn it herself." My son, my sweet boy, the child I raised. This can't be true. "Are you sure?" Maria's eyes filled with tears. "Last week, she came to work with a burn on her hand. She said she made dinner late, and Daniel threw the hot pan in frustration. It accidentally hit her hand." I walked back to Sarah's room. Daniel was sitting beside her bed, holding her hand, looking like a devoted husband. "Daniel, can we talk outside?" In the hallway, I looked at my son, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. "What's going on with you two?" "Mom, Sarah is delicate. She needs structure, routine. I'm helping her." "Helping her? She's starving, Daniel." She's too thin because she won't eat the meals I prepare. I cook for her, I work hard to provide, and she wastes everything. Do you know how that makes me feel? How you feel? Daniel, she's in the hospital. Because she doesn't take care of herself, someone needs to teach her responsibility. I saw it then, the entitlement, the control, the cruelty disguised as care. "You sound like your father," I whispered. Daniel's face went white. I never told Daniel the whole truth about his father. I told him his father died in a car accident. That was partially true. What I didn't say was that his father had driven that car into a tree deliberately after I finally gathered the courage to leave him. For 10 years I endured the same things Sarah was enduring: the control over money, the criticism about meals, the isolation from friends, the impossible standards, the accidents. I left when Daniel was 7 because his father started treating him the same way, criticizing his homework, his clothes, his posture, his breathing. I thought if I protected Daniel, if I loved him enough, if I showed him kindness and respect, he'd grow up different. But somehow, despite everything, he'd become his father anyway. I walked back into Sarah's room. "Daniel, leave now." "But Mom, you can't." "Leave, or I call security and tell them what Maria told me. About the burns, about the food control, about all of it." He stared at me, shocked. Then, without a word, he left. I sat beside Sarah's bed and held her hand. "Sarah, sweetheart, open your eyes. I know you're awake." She opened her eyes, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I wanted to be a good wife, like you taught me." "Stop. Stop right there." I squeezed her hand. "I taught you nothing about this. This isn't marriage. This is abuse." "But I love him." "I know you do. I loved his father, too. But love isn't supposed to make you disappear, Sarah. Love isn't supposed to make you starve." Boxes being packed, door closing. 3 days later, I helped Sarah move her things out of the apartment while Daniel was at work. She didn't have much. Most of her clothes didn't fit anymore. Her books, her photos, her nursing awards, all packed in just 4 boxes. "This is everything I have left of myself," she said quietly. "Then we'll help you find the rest," I promised. We left her keys on the counter with a note. "I need time. Please respect that. Sarah." She came to live with me. Daniel called 17 times that night. The voicemail started apologetic. "Sarah, please come home. I'm sorry. We can work this out." They ended threatening. "Mom, you're poisoning her against me. This is my wife. You have no right." I blocked his number. Sarah listened to each message, crying. "Maybe I should talk to him. Maybe I'm overreacting." "No," I said firmly. "Your body doesn't lie, Sarah. You're 50 pounds underweight. You have a burn scar on your hand. You collapsed at work. These aren't overreactions. This is survival." Sarah started seeing a therapist who specialized in domestic abuse. At first, she insisted she didn't need it. "He never hit me," she'd say. "Not all bruises are visible," her therapist, Dr. Reeves, explained. Week by week, Sarah began to recognize the patterns: the gaslighting, the financial control, the isolation disguised as devotion. "He always said he was protecting me," Sarah told me one night. "From spending too much, from eating unhealthy foods, from friends who were bad influences. I thought he cared." "He cared about controlling you," I said gently. "There's a difference."
One evening, Sarah asked me the question I'd been dreading. Mom, why didn't you tell Daniel about his father, about what really happened? I was quiet for a long time. Because I was ashamed, I finally admitted. I thought if I raised him differently, with love and respect, he couldn't possibly turn out like his father. I thought I could erase that part of our history. But you can't erase genetics, Mom, or learned behavior. I know that now. When Daniel's father died, I told myself it was over. I never talked about the abuse, never got therapy for myself or for Daniel. I just moved on, or tried to. Do you think Daniel learned it from him, even though he was so young? Maybe, or maybe I taught him by staying so long, by showing him love means accepting treatment like that. I don't know, Sarah, but I do know this. I looked at her directly. I failed you. I saw the signs, and I didn't want to believe my son could be like that. I'm sorry. Sarah hugged me. You didn't fail me. You saved me. 6 weeks after Sarah moved in, Daniel showed up at my house. I opened the door to find him looking disheveled, desperate. Mom, please, I need to talk to Sarah. Just 5 minutes. No. She's my wife. She's a human being who asked for space. Respect that. You've turned her against me, you and your feminist therapist friends. Daniel, listen to yourself. Listen to what you're saying. Sarah appeared behind me. I'll talk to him, Mom. Sarah, you don't have to. I know, but I want to. Sarah stepped onto the porch, and I stayed by the door, close enough to help if needed. Daniel, Sarah began, her voice stronger than I'd heard in months. I loved you. I still love the person I thought you were, but that person doesn't exist. Daniel, I've been going to therapy. I'm changing. You've been to 2 sessions in 6 weeks, and last week you told your therapist that I'm too sensitive. Daniel's face reddened. You've been talking to my therapist? No, you told your mother, and she told me, trying to convince me to come back. I hadn't known he was manipulating his own mother. My heart broke a little more. I want a divorce, Daniel. No, I won't let you. You don't get to let me do anything anymore. That's the whole point. The divorce wasn't easy. Daniel fought it, claiming Sarah had abandoned the marriage. He tried to paint her as mentally unstable, using her hospitalization as evidence. But Maria testified about what she'd witnessed at work. Dr. Reeves provided documentation of psychological abuse. Even the ER doctor wrote a statement. Daniel's lawyer advised him to settle. During mediation, I saw Daniel clearly for the first time. He didn't look remorseful, he looked angry, entitled, victimized. I gave her everything, a home, security, stability, and she's ungrateful. You gave her a prison and called it love. 6 months after Sarah left Daniel, we reinstated our Sunday dinners. But now it was just the 2 of us. Sarah had gained back 30 pounds. Her eyes were bright again. She laughed freely. Mom, thank you, she said while we cooked together, for believing me, for protecting me, for showing me what real love looks like. You saved yourself, sweetheart. I just gave you a safe place to land. I'm thinking about going back to school, maybe becoming a nurse practitioner. I want to work with abuse survivors. You'll be amazing at that. As we set the table, Sarah paused. Do you miss him, Daniel? I thought about it honestly. I miss the boy I raised, but that man who showed up at my door, I don't know him, and honestly, I don't think I want to. A year later, Sarah met someone new. James was a teacher, kind and patient. He made her laugh. One Sunday she brought him to dinner. As they were leaving, Sarah hugged me and whispered, "Mom, don't forget to finish the leftovers in the fridge." I froze. Those words, the same words she'd said so many times when she was with Daniel, always making sure I had food, always taking care of everyone else. But this time, when I looked at her face, I saw something different. She was smiling, a real smile. "I made extra lasagna for you because I know you hate cooking just for yourself. Not because anyone will check the containers, not because anyone will get angry, just because I love you." I pulled her into a tight hug, tears streaming down my face. "Thank you," I whispered, "for healing, for trusting again, for becoming the woman you were always meant to be." After they left, I opened the refrigerator. Inside was a beautiful lasagna with a note. "Mom, heat at 350 degrees for 20 minutes. Pairs well with love and freedom. Sarah and James." I stood there in my kitchen crying and laughing at the same time, because those same words that once signaled Sarah's suffering now represented her healing. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is save ourselves. And sometimes the greatest gift we can give is a safe place for someone else to do the same. And if you believe every woman deserves to know these warning signs, subscribe so you never miss a story that could save a life. Hit that bell button because next week's story will leave you speechless. And comment below.